Before we get started, we wanted to express our deepest condolences over the tragic passing of Diogo Jota and his brother Andre last week. LD, it's so sad on so many levels. A wife lost her husband, his three children lost their father, and his parents lost their only two children, and it is tragic. He was a beautiful footballer for both Liverpool and Portugal, but I would say the overflowing of tributes across the footballing world speaks to the character of the
Yeah.
human being that he was.
Yeah, and look, you longer than me, but we both played on the other side of Liverpool, and so you get in these rivalries, and sometimes you forget that it's still life, and you get caught up in the soccer. But um, the way Liverpool has handled it, the way everyone has handled it, has been phenomenal, and it just really shook us. I'm sure you more than me, but that was a difficult week, and just wishing the best for his family. Kudos to Liverpool for then honoring his contract so everybody there can continue to take care of his wife and children, and wishing them the very best.
Well said.
Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. Volkswagen has long been a supporter of soccer in America and has proudly been a partner of U.S. Soccer for over 5 years.
My guy, LD, what's happening?
To me,
I'll tell you what, you're in Houston. We'll get to
yes,
that.
sir.
I am in Knoxville, Tennessee, home of the Volunteers. Lady Vols. I've moved my daughter into her freshman dorm. They start preseason today. I was like, that's wild. Good luck with that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, tell me.
Why do I mean, I don't have kids that age yet. Why is it always that the parent moves the kid in? Can't the kid just move
Nah,
themselves
bro.
in?
No.
People are always like, I'm going this weekend to move my kid in. I'm like,
Yeah,
they can't
no.
put the bed on the floor and
No, my daughter's amazing, but it would be impossible. And these kids
Why?
nowadays,
I don't
these
understand
kids
that.
nowadays, they have TikTok and they have Pinterest, and like their room has to be a certain way. Bro, I was hanging pictures, and for all the people out there who don't know, I can't screw a light bulb in. I'm terrible. Like I'm good at some things and I'm not great at others. But the things we do for our kids, particularly little
Jeez.
girls. So
God bless you.
yeah. So I'm here preseason. Well,
All
I'm
right.
leaving.
I
And you're
am
in Houston, huh?
I'm in Houston. Yeah, we did the game yesterday. Leaving this afternoon to head back home. So if you see a different setting for both of us, you know why. But we will get into the game in a sec. Remember, guys, follow social media, Unfiltered Soccer, subscribe, YouTube. Make sure you follow us, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please leave a rating. If you like what we do, it helps other people find us. And as always, you can email Jordan at feedback@unfilteredsoccer. All right. USLNT and USMNT right away, Timmy.
Yep.
So the game. I'll start because I was
Okay.
here.
Yeah. You did a great job. Coverage was you
I
looked
appreciate
great.
that.
Awesome. It was atmosphere looked incredible, by the way.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was, I described it in the pregame as it just feels different. I know, like when you did Liverpool Everton, when you show up that week, you show up at the stadium, everything feels different. And so when we got to the stadium, it just felt different. And what was really cool for me is there were so many people there, Tim, outside of the set who were wearing, someone had made and were selling there these like half Mexico, half US shirts.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because you speak to people, and some of them speak full Spanish, but they got the US. Some of them are like, you're like, you are American, totally American, but you clearly have Mexican descent.
Yeah.
And so there was like that kind of vibe
Yeah.
around the whole stadium. And people were just, I think, genuinely happy to be there and see US Mexico. And it was a really good vibe. So it was fun to be there.
I mean, there's nothing like US Mexico. I mean, when you actually mentioned it, you were like, I mean, as a players, we know how amazing and scary and awesome that game is. But then you also, when you're around it as a fan, sitting at home watching it, or you're there working it, it's such an incredible moment for both sets of players.
Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, so let's dig into the game.
Yeah.
So incredible start. Berhalter, another really good set piece. Chris Richards gets on the end of it. I gave the linesman ton of credit because they don't have goal line technology in this tournament, which whatever.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation. But that ball, I mean, barely crossed the line.
Yeah.
Barely. And if they had called no goal, I'm not sure they can go back and overturn it. So I give the linesman a ton of credit, but a phenomenal start and another set piece goal for Chris Richards. So you felt like, sometimes, Tim, in those games, though, you go, did we score too early? Because you knew what was coming on the
Yeah.
back of that. And
Yeah.
so it felt maybe a little, did we score too early? But it was a perfect start.
Yeah, I mean, you described the goal really well. I was thinking not that so much that it was we scored too early, because I think we were always going to be put on the back foot with how brilliant Mexico plays in between lines. But I thought going into the game, I did think we could win the game, but I thought going into the game we were going to need at least 2 goals to win. So in my opinion, it was like, that's one. Now look, it's going to be cagey, it's going to be tight. We're still going to need to find a second from somewhere. But for me, it was like, okay, there's one of the 2 that I think we need. So it seems like hindsight because I know the score, but it just felt like that was going to be what we needed. But again, Chris Richards has grown in stature for me this tournament. We've heard a little bit from him. We've talked about how much he wants to be the guy. And I like when players come out and say that, LD, because then it kind of stamps the authority of like, okay, now he's also willing to take the criticism too, if things don't go well. And he had a really good tournament, so hats off to him.
Yeah. And then about 15, 20 minutes in, it felt like the momentum really started to shift, and Mexico started to put us under a lot of pressure. Yeah. And it culminated with the Raul Jimenez goal. This was an interesting goal. So I was saying, we were sitting in the green room. We had unfortunately, we couldn't stand on the field side and watch the game. So we had to go into like a green room and watch from there on TV, just like everyone else did. And there were a bunch of moments where Mexico were playing on one side of the field and Tyler Adams stayed very central.
Yep.
And it was almost like, I asked Mauricio, I said, is Pochettino telling him to sit right in front of Chris Richards and Tim Ream and make sure that there's no service into Jimenez? And so I said, I just assumed maybe that's what happened. And then I swear, next thing you know, the ball gets played onto Mexico's left side, and Tyler drifts all the way out over there and kind of gets caught in this no man's land. And next thing you know, Marcel Ruiz slips behind him. They roll a ball in. Freeman's too late to tuck in. Chris Richards gets pulled out. Ball gets slipped in behind Ream. And Raul Jimenez hits an absolute bomb into the top corner. So it was a weird sequence.
Yeah.
I give Mexico credit. You know what they do and how they try to pull you apart like that. But the finish also was just phenomenal.
Again, very eloquent on your end. The goal. Well, first of all, let me give a little bit of credit to Mo Adu, because Mo he glided across the pitch. I remember the game we won against Mexico in Mexico at Azteca 1-0. And Mo Adu could play either center back. He was naturally a 6. He was good on the ball. He was tidy. He was physical. He was rangy. Like, it puts a smile on my face when I think about the way that Mo Adu used to get about the pitch. But it's so different. Like, I'm watching that game, and you and me and our production group, we're texting a mile a minute, right? Like we always do. And I just remember thinking, like, that watching that didn't make me upset. It just made me feel like I understand this. Mexico are, whether they're a top 10 team in the world or not, they're top 10 in finding pockets and space and putting you in horrifically uncomfortable positions defensively, particularly in your defensive final third. They're so brilliant at it. And the way I described it to our group is like, they get the ball, they get in their final third, they take their backpacks off, they go, right, everybody pitch your tent because we're going to be here a while, right? And when you lump it, your attacker is 1 versus 3. We're going to win that ball, which we'll get to Ajamang in a minute, and then we're going to get it back, and you're going to be here for another 5 minutes, and we'll probably get a corner. You'll head the corner out. We'll recycle it. It's horrific, right? And so it seems like there was 11 black jerseys on the field, but to those players, it probably felt that there was 25 of them because they go off your shoulder. You know this, LD. You don't want to track back, but you're forced to track back, and you're pinned back. And now, like Tyler Adams, who I think is a sensational player for the U.S., he goes into a position he likely, when he looks back, probably didn't want to go into. But guess what? They're asking you to solve problems constantly. It's not like we're bunkered in and they're just playing really nice and neat across your face. They're getting in positions where you're like, God, dog, I got to make a decision here, and I don't like either of these decisions, right? You could see that sometimes, and so
you make the wrong one
boom,
time, and
they crush you, and they're so tidy. They're so tidy. Look, they're fun to watch. I don't care what side you're on. Mexico's fun to watch. So that was tough, but it was, I was even mentioning to you at 1-0. I'm like, I'm so nervous at 1-0 right now because you just felt that goal was coming,
Yeah, I think people don't understand pressure mounts
Yeah.
and it mounts and it mounts.
Yeah.
And when you, to your point, it's a great way to describe it. When you can't get out of the pressure, you need the first and second pass to be clean and break pressure and get out and just relieve some of it and get some territory back.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do that. And there were a few times in the second half, this happened a lot, where Ajamong would get fouled.
Sure.
And then we'd actually have a moment to breathe. But then we just couldn't get a hold of the ball and keep it for long enough to just relieve the pressure. And over 90 minutes, man, it is just hard to keep defending like that.
Yeah.
It
And it's
really
interesting.
is.
Stu Holden made a great point in commentary where he said at one point he was illustrating, because we didn't see the pictures. He was saying that like Tyler Adams and Berhalter and De La Torre, there's so many conversations going on and they're trying to get a grip of each other. And I kind of chuckled because I was like, what people don't realize in these games, you got this game plan, right, LD? And we're so comfortable on the training ground, and we're like, all right, cool. Then we go into a nice meeting in an air-conditioned room in a hotel, and like, cool, this is how we're going to do it today, and this is where they're going to be. And then you're laughing because you know what I'm saying. Then you get on the field, and we're like, well, the gaffer said there was going to be 3 here, but there's like 6. When did they get 6 over here? He never told me this was going to happen. And I'm saying that facetiously, but it's true. So those conversations were happening because like Tyler Adams is probably trying to get like, hey, listen, I know what we said we're supposed to do, but I need some help here, And so I wasn't envious of them in that moment because I know what that felt like.
Yeah. All right, let's move to this handball that was not called a handball.
Yeah.
So we were watching as
Look at
well.
this, by the way, again. I keep going.
And Mo Adu, he said, okay, what do you think? And I said, Mo, I have no idea what the threshold is anymore. And I know all the, former referees and video experts and all this say that, if it's your plant hand and it's not deliberate and blah, 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 blah. But I get so fed up with this because I feel like every single game, there's a moment where you go, was it or was it not? Was it or was it not? Was it or was it not? And I don't think I've ever seen a play where a player literally just puts his hand on top of the ball. It was like if like Shaq was palming a basketball, he just put his hand right on top of the ball. And so in my, like, just from a soccer standpoint, I go, well, that looks like a handball to me.
Yeah.
But then there's all, all the rules and all the laws of the game would suggest otherwise. Yeah. I don't know anymore. It was really interesting after the game. I want to read Mauricio Pochettino's quote because I thought this was really, really interesting. He said, the truth was that if it happened in the opposite half in their box, for sure it's a penalty. And I want to hear your thoughts on this because he either picked up on something really fast because this is his first, not his second US-Mexico game now, but his first real one. Or just, I don't know if that's like an Argentina-Brazil feeling, like that would happen for, and it was a really interesting comment.
Yeah. What I'll say is what you're not saying. Poch gets it now. But I think that's right. I think when you look at US-Mexico, we probably always feel like that. We've, even when you and I are playing, feel a bit hard.
Did you feel that way? I didn't.
I felt a bit hard done by. You didn't think
really?
You didn't think that like Mexico got the rub of the green?
I didn't. I mean, remember there was was it? I think it was the 2007 Gold Cup final in Chicago. Like the guy called a penalty. Chingy getting pulled down. And so I don't know. I didn't feel that way, but it's interesting that. Well, it's interesting you feel that way, and it's interesting he felt that way.
I pick fights with everybody in my brain, so maybe I just think and I do. It's just how it's what motivated me. But look, the handball initially, I didn't think so, because you can't. I believe in the rule of like if you're bracing your fall with your hand and hit your hand, whatever. But these still photos, now you look back at some still photos, you're like. But how is that possible? It didn't hit your hand. It actually. So I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, Pochettino actually made a good point too. He clarified too. He said it's not like his hand was on the ground and the ball like just rolled into it and hit it.
Yeah.
He said he actually put his hand on top of the ball. Which I don't think I've ever seen. So again, Joe Macknick and Christine Uncle I think chimed in too, and they said it was not a handball. Yeah. And that's fine. I understand by the rules of the game, but I do wish, and I know this will never happen. I wish we just across the board said, if it hits your hand, it's a handball. Or if it hits your hand, it's not a handball. Just one way or the other so we can just stop all the ambiguity because it feels like every single time. And by the way, if that happened in the group stage,
Mhm.
I bet it's a handball,
For sure.
right? Because
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
final, the ref
Things are
doesn't want to
called
impact
tighter.
the game. Yeah. So anyway. Okay. So then 77th minute,
Yeah.
the set piece goal for Mexico. Mexico did a good job. And again, just this is how you put teams under pressure. So they did a good job. They had 2 people out over the ball.
Mhm.
First guy fakes it.
Yep.
And it causes, all you need is one guy. We would always say with San Diego Low, I would say you just need one guy to drop.
Yeah.
And it impacts the whole integrity of the offside line. And Freeman dropped a little bit, got a little bit out of position. I think Johan Vasquez then flicks it on to Edson Alvarez, who times it right.
Yeah.
And he's just kept onside by Freeman
Yeah.
in the back of your net.
Yeah. I was going, honestly, and I don't have, we keep receipts, you and I don't have receipts of this because I didn't press send on the text because I was like so superstitious. I'm like, don't send that. But I was going to text you and say, like, once you see the foul given and the dust settles and now 2 people are standing over the ball and then there's a line. And I just remember thinking, oh, there's a lot of black jerseys there. This feels really uncomfortable. You can tell in certain moments. And LD, it might only be a difference of like 2 yards, but given where the foul was, and I'm like, well, I don't like where that is. And then they pan to the wide shot, and I was like, God, I'm going to be happy if we clear this because it just felt like this is a really dangerous position, given their set pieces, given their aggressiveness and attacking those set pieces in and around the penalty area. And I mean, it was onside. It's a tough goal to concede. It was difficult, but we were under it. And look, I mentioned this to you, and for those who don't know, Landon and I don't just speak on this show. We talk soccer all the time, but I remember the pressure we were under. And we were always going to be on the back foot. I said that. That's how the game was going to pan out. Were we going to have certain moments? Sure, and we did have a few moments. But ultimately, what needed to happen at a certain point, maybe at 1-1, when we were super under pressure, or maybe at 2-1, we needed to get the ball up the pitch, yeah, and we needed to, whether it is Ajamang or Tillman, we needed to start a mass confrontation, right? And this is what Roy Keane taught me and many others. In moments like that, we weren't going to break their momentum, LD, by saying, like, get on the ball, spread out, play through lines, let's calm things down. We were under it. They were pressuring us. They understood that there were moments where you can play at the back, but our pressure is better than your possession, okay? Then the ball needed to go up front. They needed to win a foul, create a out of nothing, a mass confrontation in front of Mexico's bench, just so you could get 3 minutes back, just so you can It's not emotional. It's intentional. Okay? Everybody comes together. There's 22 players. There's referees. There's coaches. And now you just calm things down. And people at home will be like, well, that seems like you're escalating. You're actually not. You're de-escalating the football, right? And so we couldn't get a grip of the game. And that leads me to Ajamang. I thought this was a great game for him from a learning standpoint, right? He's going to go to Derby County. All right. And Chris Richards is a perfect example of this. He's unfazed now in big moments, in big games, because week in and week out, LD, his windows are opening, closing as quick and as fast as possible. He's playing against the world-class players every week, and he's tested. So now he's like, I just played okay, not every game's USA and Mexico, but I played 60 of these games over the last 18 months. I know what this feels like. I know what big moments feel like. And Ajamang is young. He's not been in these moments, right? What I would say to him is, and so many strikers, and I think of my daughter because I've tried to drum this into her, and she listens a little bit, and she's learned this. For certain strikers, okay, Ajamang last night could have been a hero, LD, without even having a shot on target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the ball goes up to him, it sticks, you win a foul. And he did that a couple of times, but not enough, right? Now, all of a sudden, you look at the stats, you go, he didn't have that many touches. He didn't score. He didn't get an assist. He didn't even have a shot. But guess what? He earned 10 fouls, 7 fouls.
Well, he actually earned the one that led to the first goal.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
Correct. And then another one late on. So, it's in those moments where you just think, hold the ball, dig in, just make it nasty. Just make it nasty. And he'll learn from that. But again, we need more of these games. This has been LD, this has been a narrative all summer. This is why
Yeah.
we were so disgruntled, and this is why fans were so upset that we didn't have our best team in. I mean, you want to talk about sounding redundant? Like, we don't have any more competitive games. I would have loved to have every single one of our players, top players, in that moment.
Yeah.
In that moment, because we don't get any of those. We got no more of those.
Tim,
So,
think about Mexico,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Their best player, their captain, their leader, Edson Alvarez,
Yeah.
scores the goal that wins it.
Right.
That is the difference. That is the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Like, you can slice it any way you want. And to your point about Ajamong, there were so many guys in that same situation yesterday.
Mhm.
Diego Luna had a really bad game.
Yeah.
He's not been in a game like that.
Yeah.
Berhalter has not been in a game like
Sure.
that. Freeman,
Yeah.
Arfston, these guys have not been in a game like this,
No.
right? And so you need to, I said it after in the post game, the only way to gain that experience is to go through it. There
course.
is no
You're
other.
right.
You can't watch on
You're right.
TV. You can't talk to Tim Howard about his experience. You just
So
have
right.
to feel it.
Yeah.
You have to feel what it feels like and get back. And that's what Chris Richards has done with his
Yeah.
time there. So let's continue on this theme of the tournament overall. So
but real quick, sorry. So before
Yeah.
we jump in, the Luna. So what I would say about Luna in a second, Freeman, his stock rose for me early on. I know there's some criticism. These are big moments. We keep saying that. I thought he came. I came away from this thinking, okay, here's a kid who will continue to grow. If Serginho Dest is the starter, which he is. I mean, I think if he's playing, he is. He's out and out the starter. But this feels like one of those moments, LD, you know when you have to chop and change, or Dest gets a yellow card, or maybe he's got a niggle and he can't start the game, and Freeman plays. I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable here. Like I feel, and again, he's not a world beater yet. He's young, but his stock definitely rose for me. The interesting thing about Luna is, so Poch is basically saying, when we need to be a bit more cautious, we're going to play it out of a 4-4-2, right? We saw that. The lines were clear. I like that.
Mhm.
At the end, he switched Luna and Tillman. And I think what I learned is, if you're going to play in that 4-4-2, Luna is wasted wide
Agreed.
left. Because here's why.
Agreed.
Because ultimately, and there's players like this. There's players, again, the easy one is Clint Dempsey, right? It is a perfect example. We have others throughout the years. You're going to get, Diego Luna's going to get frustrated out there. Like, he can bide his time and tuck in and do all the things. Ultimately, he's going to go look for the game. He's one of a special talent that U.S. has. He's going to go look for the game. And ultimately, he needs a bit of freedom in and around those pockets. I actually would have liked, and Tillman drew some fouls, I would have liked to see Luna in that pocket earlier with Ajamang, and Tillman on the wide area. He's a bit more robust. He kind of fits that wide position a little bit better. Luna, to me, can't play there. Don't want to play there. Isn't comfortable there. Did a job, but ultimately he's lost there. So yeah,
You know why else he can't? There were so many plays in the second half where he was on the left and he was tracking
Yes.
their right fullback and like on top of our box, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, this is not a good
I know.
spot for
I know,
him.
it's not
Because
where he wants
against
to be.
real players,
Yes.
that's tough, dude. To have to defend like that for long stretches, not his strength.
No.
So
LD, it's time for the Unfiltered Refresh, sponsored by Coors Light. Choose chill. Get Coors Light delivered. Go to CoorsLight.com/USLNT. Okay, who chose chill from the US-Mexico Gold Cup final? For me, there was a bunch of contenders. But Raul Jimenez, the Mexican striker, number 9, played so well. Took his opening goal really, really well. Led the line, held the ball up, was a nuisance, did so many things well. And of course, when he scored the goal, such a fitting tribute to Diogo Jota, his former teammate that he played with at Wolves. It was very touching. And for me, he is someone who chose chill.
yeah, and you have to remember, we did a big segment on Raul Jimenez in the semifinal. Remember, he had his skull fractured open. He didn't know if he was going to play again. He had a very scary moment in his life, and he's come back to play. He's come back really good. He scored a few great goals. I think that was his 3rd goal in the final. I thought he was the best striker in the tournament by a long shot. I think he is a leader on that team. You can tell when you're there on the sideline and you see him up close. you can tell that how much respect there is for that man.
Mhm.
And now he gets to play a World Cup in his home country next summer.
Yeah.
In the prime of his career, he's playing really well. I thought he was fantastic in the game. I thought he was fantastic all tournament. He absolutely chose chill.
It's incredible, LD. People forget how horrific that head injury was.
Yep.
It was coming together with, I think, was it David Luiz from Arsenal at the
Correct.
time?
Correct.
I mean, scary signs. And you watch him come back, and you're like, I don't even care if you play well. You know, I remember as a Premier League fan thinking, like, just
It's amazing
happy to
he's
see
playing.
him back.
And he's
Yeah.
got this massive scar, Tim, on his head.
Sure.
That, like, anytime he needs a reminder, it's right there.
Yeah, and anyway, he's he's done brilliantly. So well done to you, Raul. Congratulations to you and your team.
Now that tournament's over,
Mhm.
let's talk about Pochettino.
Sure.
Tell me where you are with him. Obviously, it's been a tumultuous summer for him. Where's his approval rating? I guess. How do we feel about him now?
Yeah, nothing's changed for me. I'm a fan of what Pochettino's trying to do. I think we see the identity of the team and how he wants them to play, and then again being a bit more flex against an opponent that he feels tactically inferior to, right, and setting us up in that 4-4-2. Like I'm okay with it. And you know, the substitution patterns, which are so subjective, I don't even get into those, but people hit me with tons of like complaints about his substitutions. What I would say is our best players yesterday looked leggy. Okay.
Agreed.
They looked tired.
Agreed.
They played a lot of minutes. Pochettino hasn't said this, but I'll say it, and I agree with it. I would rather continue on into the 75th minute with my go-to guys than put on players who are average or below average. They're not going to change the game. They're just not, right?
Yeah.
Push that forward. When we get some of our senior players perceived to be our best players back, now he understands and trusts Freeman and Tillman and Diego Luna and Berhalter. He trusts these guys, Arfson. And now he can say, you know what? I need to make a change. I'm going to make it earlier. Why? Because I trust these guys to come on and be difference makers. So it's hard to judge. This team wasn't very deep, this Gold Cup team. As we move forward into the next couple months, I think we'll see some of those changes. But nothing's changed for me in terms of Poch. And, I actually feel better about it. The fact that the group didn't roll over. They actually came and they fought. So, yeah, I feel okay about it. You?
Yeah, so I said before the tournament, what he needs is clarity. He needs more clarity. And I think he got a lot of clarity. And I think if you are one of those, 8, 9, 10 guys who, when he looked down the bench, he went, don't trust him. You're concerned, right? Because this was your chance. This was your chance. Now, with a 26-man roster, I was just thinking through, there are probably 8 or 9 guys who you would say are definitely in the squad who were not here this summer. And then there's probably 11, 12, 13 during this tournament that he really rode with that I think he would say, for the most part, I trust these guys in my squad.
Yeah.
So maybe that gets you to 20 or so. So there are going to be probably 5 or 6 other spots. Now, I don't know, who knows where that comes from. But if I'm one of those guys, I mean, time after time during the tournament, even when guys were tired late in the game, he was like, I'm going to stick with a tired Diego Luna, who's been really bad today, instead of bringing you in, whoever, Quinn Sullivan or whoever you are. And so I would be concerned by that. And I think he has gotten a lot of clarity about that, about the depth of this group.
Yeah, you're right. And we'll, we're gonna do a fun exercise, me and you, with our listeners, kind of on a semi-regular basis about we're gonna kind of create following this tournament, we're gonna create what we think is a roster, right? And that'll be fluid, but we'll talk about, we'll do a fun exercise about who's in and who's out. And I honestly think right now, Landon, you and I could probably say, barring injuries and a couple things, I know who our best 20 players are. Like if you give me a list of 40 players, I can say, all right, there's the cutoff right there. Like I kind of know who's going to make the team.
And more importantly, who Pochettino thinks are.
Yeah.
The 20.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Like,
Right.
I think we can figure that out now.
Yeah, and look, overall, and this has been going around, and you guys mentioned it on air. I mentioned it in a post last night, but there are no moral victories. I get that, especially against Mexico. It hurts like hell when you lose. But ultimately, and I said this going into the tournament, a win is paramount. But I'll tip my hat to this team and give them a ton of credit if they lose in the final to Mexico, and they give everything they had. And that came to fruition. And so for that, I think the team deserves a ton of credit. And again, as you said, more than anything, they got clarity. And that's a win for me. Pochettino has much more clarity on his team and the state of things around U.S. soccer after this tournament. And so that's a win.
Yeah, and getting to play 6 really meaningful games was crucial. I mean, thank God Canada, Panama bowed out, because those are the only 3 real games we were going to have: Mexico, Canada, Panama. The rest of them, I mean, the Guatemala game was good from a atmosphere standpoint, put you under pressure because of the crowd, all that, but they're not a good team. So we saw the first time they played a real team, and we saw there's a gap still.
We need more of that. We need more of that real team stuff. And look, this will be an ongoing conversation. We don't have long left in this segment, but this is an ongoing conversation because of like Nations League mostly, where we're having to play some inferior opponents. I look at England as the best example, or the most likely example. They never play an easy game, right? Even if they get Scotland in their group, they have to win it, right? National pride. If they get, I don't know, the Faroe Islands or somebody, like, they still have to win the game to get through in the group. But they never step on the pitch and have an easy game. And when you look at this, even though the 6 games were really good, as an exercise, there were only a couple really tough games, and we just don't get that enough.
Yeah. And now, sadly, that's really it until the World Cup, right?
Crazy.
So, last thing before we take a break. So, as we spin forward to September, the friendlies, this is like, I am so fascinated with this now, because one who gets called in, who doesn't get called in, is going to be fascinating. And then who plays, like, how much trust have these guys earned, and how forgiving is Mauricio Pochettino going to be with some of these guys? I'm fascinated. I don't have an answer, because usually you get a lot of clarity on these things, and I'm like, dude, I got my popcorn. I can't wait for the roster to come out and then to see the lineup.
Because you know as well as I do, a manager can hide behind his starting lineup in September and go, well, I'm going to reward these guys for a really good Gold Cup run, which actually means the guys who weren't here, you're going to sit over there for a little bit, and I'm going to teach you a lesson.
That's right.
We don't know what's going to happen, but I'm obviously, most importantly, looking forward to getting our best group together. And I think now we'll kind of know who our best group is, and we'll have the players who are big senior players who are missing this summer, plus some of the best players from the Gold Cup, and that will be fascinating.
Really going to be fun to watch. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will get into news around Club World Cup. That's still going on, which is crazy given everything that was going on yesterday. We'll dive into that right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, as always, presented by Volkswagen.
The Unfiltered Soccer podcast is brought to you by Volkswagen, the presenting partner of U.S. Soccer.
As the U.S. gets ready to host the world for soccer's biggest moment, Volkswagen is helping people discover new turfs and new ways to play the beautiful game right here in the U.S.
From deaf and power wheelchair soccer to beach and futsal, VW is actively supporting all the communities and teams within the U.S. soccer ecosystem. They've signed U.S. soccer talent from across the portfolio of the Federation and will be helping to give these less popular forms of soccer a platform moving forward.
As a longtime friend of Volkswagen, I'm excited to support them in their mission to increase visibility of all forms of soccer. I was recently on set with them shooting their new campaign to do just that.
Keep an eye out for that launching soon, alongside the all-new redesigned 2025 Tiguan. It's a beautiful car. We've even had one with us at our recent live show. Make sure to check it out in person and learn more at VW.com.
All right, Timmy, it's summertime. You remember these days. Kids are home. It's exhausting. You're babysitting all day. I know you don't think it's babysitting. It is babysitting. In order to choose chill, I'm on the golf course, man. My wife knows when it's time to get away and choose chill. See you later. I'm going to go play golf.
I got to be honest. I choose chill a lot in the summer. Going to concerts, family barbecues. I spend a ton of time on the beach. I reach into the cooler, get a Coors Light. For me, I choose chill very, very often.
Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light.
Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/USLNT. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Beer. All right, LD. Club World Cup time. It feels like it's always Club World Cup time this summer.
It's been going on forever.
I'm actually doing some stuff around the semi-final and final. But yeah, some crazy results. I mean, I think I'm actually excited about the semis. You got Fluminense, Chelsea, PSG, and Real Madrid. So like, yeah, don't mind that. Don't mind that at all. I mean, the Brazilian teams have played really well, and 3 top European powers. So
Yeah, I actually like that at this point in the tournament. Now there's some big teams, but then there's one Cinderella,
Yeah.
right? It makes it
Yeah.
It's like the Final Four. Like, you don't want all Cinderellas
Right,
because then
right,
it's
right.
just not great in basketball, but
Right.
you want one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so this is kind of playing out that way,
Right.
and it's been fun to watch. I don't know how much you saw because we had a lot going on. Did you see the goal that Weverton
Mm-hmm.
let in? The
Yeah.
Palmeiras goal. Did you see the play?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your take on that? Is that it was kind of a weird play where it gets deflected?
Yeah.
It feels like it was too quick for him to.
It does, and the deflections in goalkeeping is really weird because it looks like slow motion and it actually is slow motion. But like at home, you're like, why didn't you react? And like, you get 185, 200 pounds going one way, right? You got to try and scramble back, and it again, it looks like it's slow motion, but it happens actually so quickly that. Yeah, I got no blame there.
Is that why you guys do? I used to watch like in goalkeeper warmups, they like put stuff all around you and like they'll take a shot and it hits here,
Totally.
and then you're trying like, yeah, it is okay.
Totally. Yeah,
Just
it's
trying
like
to figure out
you just
reaction
you try
stuff.
and train deflections because it's so like it's impossible to train deflections. So you just like put some stuff in the road and it hits it and you just react and you hope you sharpen your hand-eye coordination enough that you make the big save in the game. So, but it's hard.
PSG, they are so good, man.
Yeah, they're very good.
Beat Bayern Munich. The big talking point was the play late in the first half with Donnarumma and Musiala. So we both watched it. Give us the take from a goalkeeper's, and I'll give you a take from an attacking player. They come together. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Or don't. It's a horrific injury.
It's really hard to watch. But Donnarumma goes. Musiala's leg is planted there. Yeah, he goes for the ball, and then he gets a really bad broken leg. So, what's your take as a goalkeeper?
Well, it's twofold. I think when you watch it back, Donnarumma has every right to go for that ball. I mean, the goalkeeper's coming and sliding out, and when the goalkeeper slides out, you're either going to get the ball or give away a penalty. Like it's risky, but it's a calculated risk, and you see this happen hundreds and thousands of times. So Donnarumma is well within his right to go for that ball. What I would say to any striker, and I always say to strikers, don't go in. Don't go into the challenge. If you see the goalkeeper coming, bail. Like maybe if it's there, like poke it past to win a penalty or poke it into the goal. But it's a lose-lose for most strikers because you're just so vulnerable and the goalkeeper isn't doing anything illegal, right? And so it's one of those odd moments where I just think like if you're a striker and there's about to be a coming together, do what you can to try and get the ball, but more than anything, bail out because stuff like this happens and it's not worth it.
You almost took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
so I used to get, no, you're right. So Bruce Arena in particular used to get so mad at me because like in the middle of the field, there'd be a play like that where I got a 6'4", 200-pound defender coming to slide in. And at the last minute, like I can put my leg in and maybe draw a foul or something, but I can also get it snapped. And so I'd pull out and he'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd say, Bruce, do you want me out for the next 8 months?
So true.
Or do you want me to win this tackle in the middle of the field?
Yeah.
Right. And so with Musiala, it's a little weird because he's also got a defender on his hip.
Yeah.
And so he kind of just gets caught in between and his leg is planted. And that's the problem. And normally in those situations as an attacking player, you get there and there's a way you can manipulate and maneuver your body where you can touch it, but you jump. You touch it, but you avoid. And so I think he's trying to, but he kind of wants to like get in the way and create the contact, and then it just all goes wrong. And to your point about Donnarumma, he didn't do anything wrong.
No.
Like that's a ball he absolutely is entitled to go for. And so it's terrible. Yeah. But it can happen. And I think people giving him stick, that he has every right to go for that ball.
Of course he does.
No question.
Of course
so
he does.
hopefully with Musiala, it's obviously bad, and it's
Yeah.
not about the time it takes now, Tim, to get back. It's can he get fully back?
Fully
If it's
back mentally
4
and
months,
physically.
6 months, 8 months, doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
just and obviously we all hope that
Yeah, we wish him well.
that it goes well. I have seen that type of injury before, and guys come back 100%. So
Sure.
he can do it, and let's hope he does, especially ahead of the World Cup.
Definitely.
Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund. So I was
Crazy
watching it yesterday morning before I went to NRG Stadium here in Houston for the match, and I was like, ho hum, it's 2-0. Madrid could have had the third a gazillion times.
Yeah.
They were on cruise control, and then all of a sudden at the end, the game totally turned on its head.
Wild. It's wild.
Dortmund scored, then Madrid score, and then literally 20 seconds later, Dortmund score again, and there's a sending off. It was wild, man. What a fun game. It was a fun game to watch.
Those are the games that baffle me. You know, you watch a trillion hours of football, which we do, and you're like, why does a game grow to life in like added time, stoppage time? You're like, this game, as you said, it was kind of ho-hum.
It was over.
It was over. And like,
It was over.
football is a funny old game. That's why I think we're all so addicted to it.
And you know what's fun, Tim, is that we're going to see this next year in the World Cup too, because it's hot. And because these games are way more open than like a Champions League night game would be. Way more open.
Sure.
I mean, sometimes it's like 5v4 in half the field. You're like, what? Is this a FIFA game or what is going on?
Right.
I mean, you know, like, is this a FIFA video game?
Right.
And it's bizarre, but you're going to see it in the World Cup as it gets hot and end of games and games get stretched. And, you know, people always give MLS crap for, you know, like, oh, the games suck and they're slow and whatever. I'm like, go watch those games. Those games are pretty damn slow too, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually gonna be really fun to watch. All right, it's now time for Control Your Game, presented by NHTSA. When you speed, you have less time to react. Follow the speed limit to keep other road users safe. Speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA. All right, so player who is definitely in control of their game through the quarterfinals of this tournament, and a guy who's I think was a little under the radar for most of us, even those of us who follow a lot. Gonzalo Garcia from Real Madrid scored again. He's had a fantastic tournament, 4 goals now. And with Xavi Alonso there, it's been fun to watch them already, Tim, evolve. Because Ancelotti was like, very much kind of do your thing. I'm going to manage person. And Xavi Alonso is like very detailed in how he wants to play. And early on, it looks like Gonzalo Garcia is really the beneficiary of that.
Yeah, special player. He's young, but as you said, the manager, there's some good stuff going on at Real Madrid.
Yeah, he's been very good. So certainly in control of his game. All right, so semifinal matchups, Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, Fluminense, Chelsea, and then Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, PSG, Real Madrid.
Big one.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. So there was a lot of, I don't know, consternation before the tournament.
Good word.
Yeah.
Apropos.
But I do think the tournament's been a success. I think FIFA got the ticketing part wrong. The price is wrong, but they've slashed prices. There's some really cheap seats, and it's just better to have people in the stands. It's been fun to watch, and I've enjoyed it. And I think the semifinals are going to be great. Last thing here, there was an MLS game last night. It was Seattle, Columbus. It finished 1-1. I just want to really quickly, and I know you know Steph too, there's a really bad incident at the end of the game. Steph Fry got, I think, kneed in the head. And in my opinion, and I played against him a lot of times, I think he might be the most underrated goalkeeper ever in our league. People don't talk about him. For whatever reason, he just goes under the radar, and he's a phenomenal human being, and he's been there forever. So he was taken off the field in an ambulance. It was very scary, and we've seen these incidences a lot. And fortunately, last night, he did put on social media. He's so great. So he said, still trying to figure out what happened at the end of the game, with like a laughing emoji. But I'm incredibly grateful to all the staff that looked after me, and I'm happy to be back home resting now. What resonates is all the messages, calls, and love I've received from so many of you. So I'm just really glad, obviously, that he's okay. But he's had a phenomenal year, and it was scary to see, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah. I've known Stefan a while. He came into the national team a little bit when he was younger. He's a winner. You know, he's a winner. And you said underrated. I think about like Nick Raimondo, right? A friend of ours. Like Nick Raimondo probably should have won goalkeeper of the year like every year. But people just got tired of like voting for him. Like, well, we got to pick somebody else. This guy's like steady, keeps clean sheets, saves penalties, gets his team in Western Conference Finals, da 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 da. So like, He's a bit boring. Stefan's the same way. I mean, he stands on his head. He's one of the very few goalkeepers who can make himself big and win his team games single-handedly. We've seen it over the years, but more importantly, at the end, I mean, sometimes as a goalkeeper, when you dive, in and around people's feet, those things happen, and there was a collision with a player's knee and his head, and it was horrific. It's scary, and it reminds you as teammates, as soccer players, you're just like, those moments, like, they jar you to see your best friend laying there. So again, he had a bit of humor there on social, and I'm happy for him that he was able to look, obviously seem alert, and that people are reaching out to him, because he's a legend in the league, and up in Seattle, I know they adore him. So, Steph, if you're listening, hope you're resting well, and get well soon.
All right, on that, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into the fan questions in the AT&T Fan Connection and talk anything but soccer right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. Stay right there. When you speed while driving, you have less time to react to whatever comes across your path.
A sharp turn could take you by surprise, causing you to veer off the road.
Another car could turn out in front of you, leading to a fender bender.
A truck could brake suddenly, injuring you and the other driver.
A pedestrian could be walking their dog, and your foot on the gas might lead to a tragedy.
You may not think any of these things can happen to you, but you won't see them coming until they happen. When you're speeding, you don't have time to course correct, and it only takes an instant for disaster to strike.
The speed limit isn't just there to protect you, but everyone around you too.
So slow down, obey the law, and keep everyone on the road safe.
Speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
There's nothing better than feeling like someone has your back, and that things are going to get done without you even having to ask.
Like fans who start to sing and chant at the exact moment their team needs to rally.
A coach who can change strategies at halftime to help their team win.
A keeper is defending your goal.
Or a forward who is always ready to receive the ball.
At Unfiltered Soccer, Tim and I know all too well how important it is to be sure someone out there has your back. And that's precisely why AT&T has a new guarantee.
The AT&T guarantee is all about having your back. When you're with AT&T, if there's a network interruption, they'll proactively make it right, with a credit for a full day of service, guaranteed.
Visit att.com/guarantee to learn more. Terms and conditions apply.
AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more, caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details.
It's time for the Fan Connection presented by AT&T. Every week we invite you, the listener, to connect with us by submitting your questions. The best way to grow the game of soccer in the U.S. is to keep asking questions and keep talking about the sport we all love. At AT&T, connecting changes everything. And on USMNT, our connections with you will help grow the game. LD, time for the AT&T Fan Connection. That also means it's time to welcome in Jordan.
JR.
Jordan, how are you?
Hello, JR.
I have some complaints.
Well, hang on. Before you complain, you got the memo. Black tea
Mhm.
every day.
All black
Mm.
everything. I'm very goth.
Mm.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. This
Wait,
is how we roll.
what are your complaints?
What are your complaints?
Well, I would like to complain about the fact that I have been wearing different football kits on this shirt every week since
On
the
the show?
beginning of the show.
Mhm.
And no one has sent me a kit in the mail. They only send
Oh.
kits to the two of you. And you guys could start your own kit, like museum with the stuff that you've got. So
It's a fair point.
I
I
feel
will
like
say
I've
it's a
been
fair point.
overlooked.
That
If-
is a fair point.
this
You know
is-
the go on.
Go ahead.
The Portland Hearts of
Pine.
Pine
Yeah, not Palm.
are sending me a shirt.
I heard
Are
about
they?
that.
Am I getting one?
They may be sending
Well,
one for
no.
Tim as well.
Anyway,
possibly.
Not
Not for me.
Please, this is a PSA. If you're going to send shirts into the show, which we want, because this is going to be an amazing collaboration. We're going to shout out some teams and give you some respect and love. Make sure you send Jordan 1, 2. That's all. Or scarves or hats.
Yeah, I
or
agree.
all the
Send
things.
Jordan. Portland Hearts of Pine. Can you please send Jordan one there? Heard it
And
here
Tim.
first.
I would like to go up there because it's not. I mean, it's a few
I
hour
actually do too.
drive, but I feel like
I
it would be
drove through
fun.
there. You know, I drove through there because I drove from Boston to Nova Scotia a few years ago with
Oh, wow.
to to go visit where my dad grew up, my dad's
Mhm.
family, and I drove through Portland. It's a pretty cool little town.
Dope.
Yeah,
It's cool.
I like Portland.
Yeah.
We
If
should
you,
go.
if you like lobster, it's the
I
place
love
to
a
be.
lobster.
Live
Mhm.
podcast, eating
From
lobster,
Portland,
watching
Maine,
the game.
let's
Just saying.
go.
That sounds amazing.
Sounds
Sign me
amazing.
up.
I know.
Amazing. Great shot.
Okay.
All right,
Should
what do you got?
we get into some questions? All right,
Yeah.
let's do it. This one's from Carlos via email. On the topic of chopping blocks, should Poch be more critical of the players who decided not to play the Gold Cup in the friendlies we have remaining? I feel like you guys talked about this a
Yeah.
little bit earlier in the show. As in, send a message and solidify the idea that this team needs fight in them. And if you want to start, you have to earn it, not just expect it.
Yeah, I mean, that should be the case with your national team always. The reality, but let's just be honest. The reality is Christian is the best player on the team. And the problem is it's not even close in a lot of instances. Given his resume, what he's done, and what he continues to do every week. So let me just make this really clear. The only reason he was able to do what he did is because he is the best player by a long way. Now, you'll say Yunus Musa also did it. That's just a bizarre, everyone's perplexed by that one. But that's the reason he was able to do it, is because he knows, maybe not in the first camp, but eventually you need him. And we saw it yesterday. We need him on the field.
Of course.
You know, Edson Alvarez is their best player. He scores, they win.
Yeah.
Christian's there. I can't say for sure we win the game, but our chances go up a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone knows that, including Christian.
Well, I think the part of it, LD, is the question is being asked about, like, chopping block and is Pochettino doing the right things? He is $6 million we're paying him, right?
Mhm.
He is going to earn the bulk of that now,
Yeah.
right? Because what he has to do, this isn't about omitting people. What he has to do is figure out a way to send the right message and continue to build the right culture with Robinson, Pulisic, Musa. Who am I missing? Dest,
Weah, McKinney,
Weah,
Dest,
McKinney, right? 6 players.
Well, Balogun, Pepe.
Balogun, Pepe.
Probably
So
8 or
okay,
9.
okay, 8 or 9 players. That's a lot of players, LD. Like,
Right.
we need them if we want to succeed and get out of the group and be a world powerhouse and get beyond these stages in the World Cup. We need those players. So then, really, what Poch needs to do is figure out the best way. And I don't know the best way, but whatever's on the inside, is it send a message? Is it tough love? Is it looking at them in the eye and going, "Hey, have you guys gotten the message yet? Okay, you have. Maybe I don't. It doesn't have to be tough love. I don't know the answer, but that's where he's going to earn his money."
That's right. I agree.
Okay, I have one. I'm just going to put this out there. It's really spicy. And if you don't want to answer it and we'll cut it, that's fine.
Ooh, no.
Leave
up the
that
chimney.
part.
We go up the
Leave
chimney.
That what you just said in the show too.
Yeah.
This one is from Chris via email, who identifies himself as the warming zones revs guy. Chris says, I thought it was all noise, but Pulisic posting pictures of his vacations while the US men's national team is having huge moments just shows he is doubling down. Not even a mention of how they're doing in the Gold Cup. Just, hey, look at me on this jet. I'm kind of done with him.
Did you post a picture of him on a jet?
I think there was a picture earlier in the tournament of him, several pictures of him like traveling with his family. And then most recently, he was in some kind of tournament for Puma, I think, that he posted yesterday while the
I saw
final was
that.
going on.
Right.
I'll take the reins. Shout out to Christian Pulisic. I mean, flying on PJs is a flex, and I mean, seriously, he works hard. He earns his money. You know, he has to. Look, players are human. They have to go on vacation in the off season. They have to do these things.
And if you're like a Puma athlete, you have to do whatever.
You have to, right.
Correct.
You have to earn your money, and he has to do that. And those things fall on certain days. And look, we can continue to pick the bones out of it. The fact of the matter is, I wouldn't care either way because the opposite is true. For who asked the question?
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the opposite is true, Chris. I see a bunch of these players because you know what I would actually expect is like a picture of him winning against Mexico, saying, "Go guys, go win this thing." It's like all of that's fake to me. So I don't know. Social media, you can't really make heads or tails of it. He's well within his right to go on vacation, and obviously, given the nature of things, I think sometimes you can just shut it down and kind of fly under the radar and do it quietly. But this is a different generation. Everything has to be posted, and that's kind of normal. So I don't have any qualms with it. But the PJ's a flex for sure.
My only thing is, I keep coming back to this, is who's advising these guys? Because can you not wait a week to post the Puma thing? I know sometimes they're like, we want to make sure during the Gold Cup and on Gold Cup final day, because that's when most people are watching. We want you to post it. I get that, but can you just wait a week, or can you wait till the tournament's over? Is somebody saying, maybe we don't put the picture of the PJ up while the team is suffering against Mexico, right? And I'm not saying that's the exact timing, but just who's advising? That's my thing, because we all make dumb decisions too. I do things every day, and Rich, our agent, Rich, would be like, "No, Landon, you're not doing that. Why would you do that?"
Yeah.
I go, "Oh, okay, yeah, good one."
Yeah,
So
look,
that's my thing.
Yeah, I think the other part of it is there's been so much noise and criticism towards Christian Pulisic and some of the other players that that also is a way to fire back, right? So, subtly or not so subtly. That's just how things work, and that's a form of communication nowadays, social media. So, again, no issue with it.
Yeah.
Speaking as the producer on the show, we also have to navigate things like when can we record versus like when is stuff happening. And so who knows when some of that stuff was even captured versus when it was posted on his social media.
Totally.
Social media is not real, everyone. Hate to break it to you.
Sure.
Our account's real. Our account's real. So
extremely real. Very, very Tim's a man of the people, so it's a very real Instagram account.
Clearly.
Okay, last question is from Julie. Via email. I'm just going to completely admit to this. Her question is making it into the episode because there's a PS on her email that says, Jordan, you are amazing, and I love Liverpool too. So,
I mean, two things I'm going to hold against you, Julie, but keep going.
So first, Landon and Tim, you have been two of my favorite players. I listen to this podcast because of you. Landon, I even named my youngest after you, and he loves soccer.
Awesome.
So
wow,
she's laying it on really thick.
Jesus,
really
of course
is.
she's going to be in the episode.
Second, I want to apologize to you, Landon. When you took your time off of the national team, first I blamed the coach for not picking you, and then I wondered what would keep you from playing for the national team. Thank you for sharing your story. My question stems from that. Do you guys feel that as players join the leagues younger and younger, will burnout and mental health become more of a problem due to not having the skills to deal with the pressure?
Great question.
Very good question.
Great question.
I'm not sure I know how to answer that.
I'll take a crack at it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yes, I think that's fair. So often with athletes, I wasn't one of them. I mean, I still felt young. I mean, I started my career at 18, but I really hit the spotlight at like 23, right? So kind of a late bloomer. I was trending that way. So yeah, look, when you get thrust into the frying pan at 16, it's hard. So naturally, yes, you're gonna have more games under your belt at an earlier age, and the burnout might happen quicker. I use the example of a player that Atlanta knows really well, but I was in the team. I was a senior player at Everton when Ross Barkley broke through at 16, right? And Ross his birth certificate might have said 16, but he was built like an ox, and he could hold his own, right? And so he then got held to a different standard, and now he's in the first team dressing room, right? And now he has to take care of his mom and his sister. I've talked about this, right? 16-year-old. He's the breadwinner. He's a brilliant kid. He's got a wonderful family, but he's the breadwinner. So now he's got to go in the dressing room with 35, 36-year-olds, right? And he's got to buy the same car that they have. He's got to buy the same wash bag accessories and watch that they have. So he's trying to keep up with a pace that like no 16-year-old should have to keep up with. Also, like when I got ridiculed, and people sang songs about me, I'd tell them where to go and what to do with themselves, right? But I was 35 years old. You get Russ, who's a young kid, who comes in and now he's taking criticism from the papers and he's taking criticism from the fans, and he's a local kid, right? So that they double down on that. It's really difficult from a mental health standpoint, and it's really hard to deal with that. And then we label, then he goes to Chelsea, and then we label him a failure when it doesn't work out. And I'm thinking, Everton, Chelsea. He went to Nice in the French league, Luton in the Premier League, Aston Villa. That's a winner to me, right? And so, like, the lines get completely blurred and skewed. And so having a strong foundation as a young player is important. Good people around you. Landon, we keep talking about who advises these kids. Ultimately, there's going to be burnout if you start at a much earlier age.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because as you're saying that, I think the thing that exacerbates all of that now is social media too.
Mhm.
Right. And so I didn't part of my real struggles early in my career particularly were after the 2006 World Cup,
Mhm.
where I had a terrible World Cup and we went out in the group stage. And then I started hearing people talk about it on TV when I got home and reading it in articles in the paper and whatever. I can only imagine if social media was around, how much worse it would have been for me. And so now I think it's been around long enough now where people are starting to understand they can just tune it out. But at that time, it was like, oh my God, people are saying this. It must be true. And it must feel, and 5 people say it, it has to be real. And you didn't understand like how fake that whole world is. But I think it gets exacerbated by that now. So it makes it more difficult. I think that is the defining factor more than probably even starting at a young age, because kids who aren't professional athletes are struggling with that,
Yeah,
with
good
social
point.
media.
I also think like teams have more awareness of that and are trying to offer
Yes.
support too, which I think
Correct.
is really helpful.
That's right.
Correct.
All right, that's it, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
JR.
Good job,
you.
JR. All right, Tim, anything but soccer. This is an interesting one. So we've been following 2 stories that are
Mhm.
really interesting. So Malik Beasley, former basketball player, is being investigated.
Current.
I'm sorry, current
Yes,
basketball
yeah.
player is being investigated for potentially gambling on his own team.
Mhm.
Is that right?
He's with the
like,
Pistons. I'm not
yeah.
sure if it's his own team. He's being investigated for betting and gambling.
For betting, yeah. Concurrently, at the same time, Luis Ortiz from the Cleveland Guardians was being investigated. This is such a bizarre story. I think I saw it in The Athletic. Is being investigated for 2 specific pitches.
Mhm.
He's a pitcher. Pitches he made where there was massive uptake in gambling on those 2 pitches. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So again, we want to clarify, nothing's finalized. They're under investigation.
Yeah.
But like, what's your thought on guys involved in the game and gambling on either themselves or the outcomes?
It's
or whatever?
sticky, man. Every time there's an issue with gambling, like I've seen there's been an issue, like something's not quite right. I played with a guy at Everton, a young kid, and it's like Premier League contract, right? French kid. And he's like in debt and he's got like gangsters after him. And I'm like, no one just randomly does that, right? You either got you fall into a bad way somehow. What I would say is like, don't do it. And here's why. Not because it's wrong. So you shouldn't do it because it's wrong. Number 1. But number 2, you don't get away with this, LD. You can't get away with it. So like you said, I'm gonna throw 2 pitches. No one's gonna know. Except when the bookies, there's an uptick in the betting. Like they're
And
looking.
by the way, both pitches were like not even close to the plate. I mean, he like bounced them. I watched them. Like they're
Right.
really bad. It's
Right.
really obvious.
So you like, again, to use your line, like who's advising these guys? Well, what I would say is like no one really that good, because you can't get away with it. You cannot get away with gambling and betting on your own team or trying to throw pitches or whatever it is. Don't do it. It's so strange. It's so strange. Like, I don't know. I don't even know where to go with it other than like it's bonkers to me.
It makes you realize it's a disease too,
Correct.
because like this, I don't know how much money Ortiz is making or Malik Beasley, but it's not about money, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
and
something going on.
there are some people who are like, this, I mean, I'll have a job. I don't have, I
Yeah.
gotta just, I'm gonna try to make this work. And
Sure.
like, I don't judge. I get that. But it's just bizarre. It's always been bizarre to me when people, especially who are making big amounts of money, do this. I can never figure it out. And to your point, I mean, I'm sure someone along the way maybe has gotten away with it, but it's
Rarely.
it's very rare.
Rare.
And it's just bizarre. I mean, let's look. Hopefully, it's nothing. It feels like when there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see.
But on the baseball thing, I'm completely throwing a curveball. No pun
Oh,
intended.
very good.
The MLB All-Star Game's coming up in Atlanta.
Mhm.
I've always wanted to play in a celebrity softball game. Never have. Haven't been invited. Not really sure why. Not really sure
Are
why.
you pitching to get?
So
see what I said? Are you pitching?
Yeah, I'm throwing this out there to anyone at MLB. Like maybe
You
it's too
want to play in
soon.
the softball
Not
game?
not this year, but like I do want to play in a celebrity
So
softball game
good.
at some point. You did.
All right, I
Didn't
did
you?
in San Diego. It was so fun.
You get any hits?
Yeah, I had a home run. Well,
Shut
not
up.
actually. It was not an actual home run. It was just I hit it, and there were like 6 errors, and so I
Oh,
scored.
you're one of those
But,
tryhards. You
Oh,
run the
yeah.
bases.
So actually, yeah, you're right. So Drew Brees got mad at me because it was like it's like like oh, I know why he got mad at me. I just remembered. So I pitched for a few innings,
Did you?
and basically you're there to have fun,
Correct.
and like they want to see people hit. So like you're throwing at softball underhand, and you're supposed to like just lob it up there.
Yeah.
So, and I was throwing these big high haymakers that
You're
nobody could hit because I
you're
wanted
such
to
an
win.
idiot.
And he looked at me like, "You're such a tool, dude." I was such an idiot.
So you- so
I
you-
apologize, Drew Brees.
You took slow pitch softball and threw some
I
rainmakers.
threw them like super high, so then like they can't even because you're just trying to throw.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to just like not throw it high, throw it low, and let the guy just hit it out of there because everyone's there to watch that.
And you ran extra hard and,
I'm a little-
slid head first in the home on a inside the park home run. You're never being asked back.
If you haven't figured it out, I'm a little competitive. I'm definitely never being asked
Amazing.
back.
Amazing.
Whatever. I'm an idiot.
Good times.
All right, guys. Great show. Thank you as always. As always, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your pods. Follow us across all our social media platforms at Unfiltered Soccer for more bonus content.
Thanks so much, everybody. Really good wrap up to the Gold Cup. The summer of soccer continues. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, VW, our Fan Connection sponsor, AT&T, our Control Your Game sponsor, NHTSA, and our Unfiltered Refresh sponsor, Coors Light. Have an amazing week. Keep up with the football, and we will see you next Tuesday for another episode of Unfiltered Soccer.